1 Kings chapter 19, verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and withheld all, how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, So let the gods do to me more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servants there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die, and says, And as he laid and slept under the juniper tree, and behold, then an angel touched him, and says unto him, Arise and eat. Let the church say, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid down again. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time. Everybody said the second time. And touched him, and it says, Arise and eat. Let the church say, Arise and eat, because your journey is too great for thee. And he arose and did eat, and went in the strength of the meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Haram, the mount of God. And he came thither unto the cave, and lodged there. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and said unto him, What doest thou here, Elijah? The word of the Lord came to him, and said unto him, What doest thou here, Elijah? The word of the Lord came unto him, and said unto him, Elijah, what are you doing here? I want to talk to you this morning. How did I get here? That's what I want to talk to you this morning about. How did I get here? Tell 5 people, how did I get here? Have you ever been somewhere and discovered that you're lost and you've lost your directions, and you wanted to know, how did I get here? I cannot tell you how many times that in my own personal life, and now I'm coming up on another birthday, that I have said to myself, Minister Mobley, how in the world did I even allowed myself to get here? I know better. I shouldn't be here. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to turn that down. All right? Life is always composed of those experiences, an encounter which provides both challenges to one's character, testing of one's spirit. You know, life's greatest wars, Stephanie, are not waged on the plains of mortal combat or physical struggles. But ladies and gentlemen, what I've discovered is that life's greatest wars are fought, listen up, church, on the battlefield of your mind. I said the battlefield of your mind. Life's most serious conflicts are what I would call inner conflicts the scars of war, the inner conflict of the most permanent wounds that causes greater pain are found not on the surface of your skin, but in the soul is where the greatest ones are. To be sure, ladies and gentlemen, life is not always composed of experiences and encounters. It is also composed of question marks. In life, there are always questions which ought to be asked, and not only asked, but demand an answer. The questions like, who am I? Who am I? The second one is, what am I living for? However, when life has been lived to a maturity, when we experience an encounter, have led us, we live in a world that we have ups and downs and joys and sorrows and trials and tribulation. Ladies and gentlemen, then we come to another question that every child of God that's in this room breathing have to ask. How did I get to where I am, which is so far from where I'm supposed to be? Ladies and gentlemen, success and victory have a tendency to excite and elate us at the point that sometimes we get caught off balance and we drop our emotional guards against depression and oppression, because sometimes we feel that certain things just won't ever happen to us. Ladies and gentlemen, just keep believing that, because when this happens, ladies and gentlemen, we open up a satanic attack, and we are vulnerable to the morals attack and the temptation and also the emotional attack. Ladies and gentlemen, in this story that we have here in your hearings this morning, Elijah shows us how quickly we can go from the mountaintop to the valley so quickly, how quickly we can go from the mountaintop to the valley, how quickly that we can go from the mountaintop to the valley. He shows us how vulnerable we are after a victory. I want to say that again. He shows us how vulnerable we are after a victory. He shows us how vulnerable we are after a victory. I call that the vulnerability of victory. You see, we see in chapter 19 how he flew to the blues, got down in the dumps, and how God got him out of this emotional mess. It is interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that Elijah points of the greatest strength in chapter 18, just one chapter over. He shows us how the strength of God, just one chapter over, how he was showing out like a big dog. Just one chapter over, how the power of God was working in his life. Just one chapter over, how he shows the power, the strength. He shows one chapter over where it seems like he's sitting on top of the world. One chapter behind us, ladies and gentlemen, in chapter 18, he was showing out, y'all. In chapter 18, God was working with him. It is interesting that Elijah points the greatest strength in chapter 18. His faith became his most vulnerable point in chapter 18. It is almost like, how do a man who has victory in 18 gets down in the dumps in 19? You know, ladies and gentlemen, Elijah had won the war, but he had lost his peace. But why? How did Elijah get to this point? I want you to hear me this morning, because this text is quickly unraveling in my mind, because, ladies and gentlemen, it begins with the reason for Elijah's despair. I want to just take a few minutes to try to unpack the reasons for Elijah's despair. I want you to notice that, ladies and gentlemen, his fear replaced his faith. That's two things. That's the first thing that I want you all to see, is that his fear replaced his faith. Can the church say that today? That his fear replaced his faith. Now, let me give you two reasons why his fear replaced his faith. One is because he's afraid of Jezebel. The second was that he's afraid of dying. That's the two good reasons of why I could just tell you why his fear has now taken over him. It is to be remembered that Elijah was the prophet who had come to conflict with the king by the name of Ahab and his queen by the name of Jezebel. The godless reign of Ahab and Jezebel had brought the nation in an era of depravity and immorality which had never been equal to Israel's history. Elijah, Sister Baker, flees for his life. This was a knee-jerking reaction. All at this time, how Elijah known when and where to move from one place to another. It was through prayer and the word of the Lord. He is given no directions from the Lord here. He had not prayed about any decision. Elijah is known for what great traits, ladies and gentlemen? Most people would probably relate and reply that he was the boldest and courage, one that said what he wanted to say, mean what he wanted to say. Elijah had the a fearless man. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this man who now went to the king and told him that there would be no rain for 3 years and 6 months. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy who returns to the king and said, behold, Elijah is here. This is the one who, behold, 4,450 prophets of Baal, and boldly ordered the execution of these false prophets. And so the question arises at this point: why is Elijah running from Jezebel? Why is Elijah running from Jezebel? I think I need to tell you that the best men are only men at its best. Elijah is human. God shows us both sides of this great man. He shows his weaknesses too, because, ladies and gentlemen, as much as you are sitting here showing off your strength, I want to tell you, you got another side that nobody knows about, and that's that weak side that you like to sit up in here, because we don't understand how that you can come to church and knock every piece of dust out of the church and then go home and stay 6, 7, 8 months away. If you got victory this Sunday, I'm not going to tell you you're not going to have to go through some trials and some tribulation. You got to remember that all your life you've been fighting. All your life you have had to go through something. This ain't the first time your back been pinned against the wall. There have been times that the wall even decided to move. Somebody say, help him, help him, help him. I want to let you know, so don't y'all be so hard on Elijah. Elijah shows us why some of y'all run all the time. He's running. And many of God's men had been deeply depressed before. We are vulnerable after victories too. You got to remember that the scariest thing is that when you're going to come under attack is when you have had a great victory. After a great victory, it ain't no time to sit down and start having a eating dinner. Can I help y'all here? We are vulnerable too. And this same happened to Jonah. I happened to Jonah. I wish y'all had went to sleep last night. This happened to Jonah. Jonah in chapter number 4, he had experienced one of the greatest revivals in the world's history. Moses became depressed from the complaints of the people in Numbers chapter 11. Job's health was diminishing and physically and emotionally in Job chapter 6. David one day got so depressed that in Psalm 42 that he tried to say, I can't take it no more. Jeremiah struggled with depression at a point that he even said to God, why was I ever born? Somebody said, preach, pastor. Jezebel sent a message to Elijah and she said that it will be tomorrow about this time that I'm going to take your life. And now the record said that Elijah discovered that his life was in danger in a manner that he had never known before. So he went hurriedly from Jezreel to north to Bathsheba in the south. He replaced his fear from faith. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I need to tell you, for God has not given you the spirit of fear, but he's given you power, and he's given you love, and he's given you a sound mind. So let us boldly say that the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man will do unto me. Ladies and gentlemen, his fear replaced his faith, but secondly, his failure replaced his victory. Because Elijah is out of position. Let the church say he's out of position, out of character, out of bound. His condition is a description of many Christians today who is out of the will of God. There are many Christians who are out of the will of God. And if the Lord was speaking directly to these backslidden Christians, he might well ask, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that God would walk into certain houses this morning and see some of his children who belong to him. I believe God would walk up to the bed and say, what are you doing here? As good as I been to you. And last Sunday, you was running around the church like a marathon. What are you doing here? How did Elijah get to this point? He is physically, emotionally drained. He's focusing on his circumstances. He's forgotten about God's promise. An element of pride and unfulfilled expectation has led him to believe that he is a failure. And ladies and gentlemen, failure is just as real as you perceive it to be in your mind. I'm going to say it again. Failure is just as real as you perceive it to be in your mind. Somebody in the back said, say it one more time. I said, failure is just as real as you perceive it in your mind. One of the hardest feelings for a person to deal with is failure. I've never seen nobody enjoy it, whether failure is real or imagined or something in our eyes alone or in the eyes of many. Failure is a crushing blow to the person's sense of worth. Of worth. You see, that's why the devil is a low down scout. It's because he knows that if he can keep you in a spirit of failure, you will lose your sense of worth. Preach, Pastor Carter. The sense of having failed can lead someone to despair, just to think that everyday situations can bring about such failure. Let me name some of them: being a part of a failing marriage, getting divorced and separated. These are some things that I just jotted down. Being a single parent, losing unemployment, being unable to find unemployment, and being unable to support your family, not being recognized or promoted, and every time a promotion comes up, you are always overlooked, and not being smart enough, not having the right kind of job, failing to make good grades in school, dropping out of school, being addicted to drugs and alcohol and smoking, and feeling powerless to help and to love one who is sick or in trouble, not being popular enough, feeling like I'm not attractive enough, not being the best athlete, not smart enough to work, not rich enough, don't have what it takes, not good enough. Ladies and gentlemen, this failure comes soon as you start feeling good. Failure walks in the room and blow out the candle of expectation, because failure is always going to have you somewhere down in the dump. Failure it'll make you sit in church, know God been good to you, but you won't even open up your mouth and thank the Lord for all that he have. Where is anybody in here that have had failure to come in your life, and failure tried to make you feel like, why in the world everybody else done got theirs and you don't have yours? But you see, y'all got to remember, y'all worried about everybody else that got their husband and they got their wife. Some of them are working on their fifth one. So what? So what? Because who you looking at working on their sixth one? So what? You ain't even had your first one. Evidently, the sixth one couldn't do it for them. How many of you all have ever got to that point in your life that, why did God let me buy this and knew I was going to fail? Why would God let me? How is it that you were so excited to sign the closing papers to your house, and then a few months later you ask God, why you let me buy this house? 6 months later, I want to point out the matter to your attention, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Elijah. I wonder if I'm talking real good. I want you all to see a defeated, isolated Elijah sitting under the juniper tree in solitary in his own sadness. I want you to see a defeated Elijah suffering of the ill effect of the kind of professional prophetic burnout. I see him experiencing deepening depression and mental spiritual loneliness. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what happened. His failure replaced his victory. I see Elijah who is at a point of where he's in asking another question: how in the world did I allow myself to have get here? That was Elijah. Let me tell you what happened. Elijah is now separated from his family, alienated from his friends, wondering why he seems to be going through and turning his back. Now, here's the thing that the devil will get you to do, is that when you get to this point of failure, he tries to get you away from everybody that really concerned about you, especially those who know how to get a prayer through. So he starts separating you from your church. In other words, don't go to church this Sunday. Don't go to no social functions. Now, I want to let you know that, ladies and gentlemen, what's killing some of y'all today ain't what you eating, it's what's eating you. Think about how it is separate. The devil knows that if he can alienate you from your church, alienate you from your prayer partners, alienate you from people who are going to speak life into you. And ladies and gentlemen, if I was going through, I don't need people that's going to have to ask me to rehearse what I'm going through. I need somebody that can speak into my life and tell me that weeping may endure for the night and joy comes. I don't need nobody knows it, want to know how I got myself in this and why did you get yourself in it. Ladies and gentlemen, the thing about people calling you is that sometimes folks don't ever call you until they find out that you going through some mess, and now they ain't called you on no good days, and now all of a sudden you see a number that you ain't never seen. You almost like, why you calling me now? Can I make a public confession? Can I make a public confession? Y'all don't judge me there. I said, can I make a public confession? I discovered that there was times in my life that when I was going through some trials in my own personal life, some people only called me when they heard that I was going through some public situation where whether it was something that was something scandalous. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know something. Some of you all, brothers and sisters, have been in that situation, but let me make a public confession. I looked and saw that this the same person that's calling me, and the only reason why you are calling me is by on something you done heard about what done happened to me. And ladies and gentlemen, can I make a public confession? I realized that some of the phone numbers that I had in my phone wasn't necessary. So what I decided to do, I did a inventory on the phone list in my phone. So I went through and I said, delete, 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 delete. I said, Lord, if I keep deleting, there ain't gonna be nobody's number in there but Sylvia. Come on, help me here. Delete, delete, delete. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, I got a feeling that everybody that's calling drama in your life, tell 5 people, delete, 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 delete. If I'm preaching real good, point one finger up in the air and say, Pastor, preach it all, because ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that his fear was replaced by faith. His failure, Minister Mobley, was replaced by victory, but his fatigue replaced his energy. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Elijah, I'm going to preach this all today. Elijah made an exit to the exile in the wilderness. The word declares that Elijah sat under a juniper tree and requested that he might die. Listen to what he says. He said, oh Lord, take my life. Is this man talking like this in chapter 19 that was showing out in chapter 18? Is this the same guy? Is this the same guy in evidently got to be two different preachers. Is this a different prophet? Because you see, it seems like he's a different prophet because he's saying, take my life. Ladies and gentlemen, he says, enough is enough. Oh Lord, take my life. Listen to what he said. I'm not even better than my fathers. It's enough. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he's asking God to kill him. He's asking God to take his life. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he's saying it's enough. I'm wrestling with all of this stuff and this principality. And the Bible says that Elijah said, Lord, take my life. Let me tell you what happened. Elijah underestimated the power of God. I don't know who I'm preaching this sermon for, but I believe I'm preaching it for every last one of you all today, because Elijah is saying, oh Lord, take my life. I'm not even better than my fathers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why would Elijah be saying, Lord, take my life? All because of this woman, Jezebel. 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 No, not picking on the sisters, but this lady got him worked up. And sometimes sisters can get you worked up. You know, he got him worked up. Everybody say he's worked up. And tell somebody, by who? By who? Who is he worked up about? Come on, y'all sisters so scared. You ain't got no daughter named that. So come on, help me here. Everybody said, who is he worked up about? Come on, my hearing ain't, I didn't wear my hearing. Who is he worked up about? Now, thank y'all. You know, that's what you say when you think a woman, she ain't nothing but a Jezebel. You know, y'all sister, y'all black sisters, that's a Jezebel spirit that walked up in there. Y'all know how y'all did. Let's bind that Jezebel spirit up in here. Got Jezebel spirits in the choir. Got the Jezebel spirit sitting in the pulpit. Y'all women, y'all know, y'all sitting up in here looking at me like that. Jezebel sitting up on the, y'all know how y'all looked at how y'all work. Let a woman walk up in here and look at Jezebel, Jezebel. Let a man be walking up in here with a wife. He married to a Jezebel. Who is Elijah worked up about? I want to ask you a question. What are you worked up about? You may not be worked up about the Jezebel woman, but you are worked up about Jezebel, because Jezebel represents a spirit. It's a spirit. Let me tell you what it represents. It's a spirit of domination. Jezebel, Ahab didn't have no vote in her house. He told her, Jezebel told Abe, go in the bathroom, don't flush the toilet all the way, get out of that. The man dominated. She ran her house. Ahab, yassam. And I want to let you know something. What's dominating your life now? What wakes you up at 4 and 5 and 6 and 3 o'clock in the morning saying you ain't got long to live? Tell your neighbor, Jezebel leaving the house today. Tell somebody, Jezebel leaving the house. Look at 5 people and tell your neighbor, Jezebel spirit is leaving the house today. Jezebel, that dominating spirit. Listen to him, church. God, take my life. I'm not even better than my fathers. I'm not making this stuff up, Minister Mobley. It's right here. The man is sitting under a juniper tree. I can't tell you how many times I wished I could have ran when certain things happen. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Listen to what the angel did. Let me show you another thing, because I'm getting happy this morning. Because I want you to notice that the angel came unto Elijah. Now, listen to it. The Bible says that the angel came the first time and told him, get up and eat. Now, I want you all to know, I told you that he was fatigued from his fatigue replaced his energy. Because, ladies and gentlemen, he's gone a day's journey. Now, I don't know how fast he was running, but he came from Jezreel to Bathsheba. Now, that's about 100 miles, which means I don't know how fast he was running, but he got up on that mountain quick. And he had been running so much to now he's exhausted and he collapsed under a juniper tree. And he's out. And the angel came and touched him and shook him and says, first of all, God showed out for him again. The angel shook him and told him, get up. Now think about this, y'all. Fresh bread was baking on the coals, and a cruse of water was at his head. Who in the world did that cooking? Because it wasn't there when he went under the tree. But somewhere between when he fell off to sleep and when he woke back up, bread was baking and water was cold. Lord have mercy. Somebody need to help me. What the Lord is saying is that in the midst of your situation, I'm getting ready to put bread at your head and water. I'm going to preach it all today. Oh, Lord. Maybe he woke up, the angel touched him. I'm not through with this. The angel touched him, Stephanie, and said, get up. Get up. Wake up. Now listen what he did. He did get up. He ate. He did appreciate the food. Now let me tell you something. God always been taking care of this guy. Because y'all remember, this the same guy that a raven brought him bread and flesh in the morning. This is the same guy that he had bread brought by a raven and bread and water. This is the same guy, y'all, that when the brook dried up, the Lord told him to go up to Zarephath. I've got a widow woman up there that's going to sustain you. And the Lord blessed him. This is the same guy. God always been taking care. And even listen here, this is what I believe that's your testimony. Even when you have been going through some of the roughest time, God always made a way for you. It seems like God always put stuff right where you could reach for it. Even when nobody else had nothing, God made sure you had a little something. High five your neighbor and tell your neighbor, he keeps a little something at my house. If you believe that, can y'all testify by standing up and say, every time I ran low, God didn't let me run out? Why don't you fist bump somebody and tell your neighbor that's what the devil mad about? He's mad about that every time you get in a jam, God always come through for you. That's what the devil is mad about. That every time your back get up in the wall, God prepares a table before you in the presence of your enemy. So tell your neighbor, your next blessing is going to drive the devil crazy. Turn up and spin around and tell somebody, I got a feeling that God is not only going to give you the table, but he's going to give you the whole house. I wish I could get somebody to jump up and say, the devil is mad about my next blessing. I said, the devil is mad about my next blessing. Can I just go on and preach myself Alabama happy today? Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, I know why the devil has been trying to come against you. It's because you next, you next, you next, you next, you next. Where are the folks that's right quickly that can high five somebody and tell your neighbor, can you shout about my next? Can you shout about my next? Step over in the aisle and tell your neighbor, I'm hollering about your next. Tell somebody, holler like it's next. Dance like it's next. Throw your head back like it's next. Wave your hands like you're next. Tell somebody, get up, arise, and eat. Arise and eat. I can sit down right there. Arise and eat. And if I was in my old church, guide me over thy great Jehovah, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but thou art mighty. Hold me with your powerful hand. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Even me, Lord, let your blessings fall on me. Tell somebody, I got a feeling that Monday morning your next will be there. That ain't the right person because they would have lost their mind. Tell them this week the contract is getting ready to be next. The contract is getting ready to be next. The promotion is getting ready to be next. The hell you've been through is over. It's getting ready to be next. Next, 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 next. Tell somebody, that's why I've been going through what I'm going through. It's because I feel next in my spirit. Arise, get up, and eat. All right, I'm about finished. Chad. I'm about finished. But can I get 2 more minutes from you? The Bible said, sit down 1 minute at a time. The next time y'all sit, I'm going to let you walk out the door. The Bible said he got up, he ate, and the Bible said, LaCarrie, he went back to bed. That's just like black folk. They eat and they go to sleep. He had some black in him. So you know how we eat. We got to go to bed now. I ain't making it up. It's right there in the book. It says that he ate the first time and he went back to bed, snowing. Elijah, which tells me he was hungry, exhausted. But you see, the reason why he couldn't stay up, he couldn't see his next. The reason why he had given up is because he couldn't see his next. The reason why he said, kill me, I don't want to live. The only reason why people don't want to live now is because they can't see their next. And the only reason why I got to stay alive and stay around here, not only I got to see my next, God told me to say, hey, stick around because he wants me to see your next. Tell somebody, my next, and so I'm about finished. I didn't know this sermon was going to go like this. And he went back to bed. So the Bible says, Minister Mobley, I didn't make it up. Verse 7 says, put it back up on the screen. Verse 7 says, and the angel of the Lord came again. Now, isn't it amazing? The angel of the Lord came again the first time. The first time. The second time, and said, hey, bud, I know the food was good, but we didn't mean for you to get back into bed. He said, get up and then it's amazing that the angel told him to get up and rise and eat again. Which means evidently he didn't get enough food the first time. And I tell you why he didn't get enough food, because the angel told him he didn't get enough food. He said, get up and eat, because your journey is too great for you. He says, your journey, you didn't get enough food in you to sustain you. She trying to take the message today. To sustain you, because where you going, you're going to need more fuel in your tank. And can I tell you that you getting ready to go further than you've ever gone, but you got to have more food in you. Look at your neighbor and say, eat again, eat again, eat again. When you done ate one plate, eat again, eat again. Tell somebody, eat again, eat again, eat again, eat again. The angel told him, say, get up and eat again. For your journey is too great for you. Who am I preaching this message to? If I'm preaching this message to you, get up and wave your hands at me and say, my journey is too great. Why? Now let me tell you what he was hoping, Minister Smith. This is what he was hoping after he ate the first time, that he would slip off and God would kill him in his sleep. Anyway, Lord, I'm full now. The angel said, You see how many times people went to bed and they woke up and said, I thought I would have died last night. I'm still here. You know what God won't do? Can I tell you that the only reason why God ain't going to let you die is because he's already rebuked death over your life. Tell your neighbor, death been rebuked over your life. That ain't the right person, because they would have jumped up and hollered. Tell 5 people, death has already been rebuked over your life. So get up, get up, get up. Step across the aisle and say, the angel said, get up, get up. Angel came to him and told him, get up, you done slept enough, eat again, your journey is too great. The very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, aren't you better than the sparrows? Fear thou not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. Sit down. I know I told you that. I didn't tell the truth. Sit down. Fear not. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yea, I will help you. I will uphold you with my right hand of righteousness. For I am the Lord your God, who will hold thy right hand, says the Lord. Fear not, I'm your helper. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by my name. Thou art mine. When thou passest through the water, I'll be with you. And through the rivers, it will not overflow you. And even when you walk through the fire, I will not even allow it to burn, nor the kindles up under your feet. 1,000 shall fall at your right side and 10,000 at your left. And he said, nothing is going to come nigh thee, because when the devil came to eat up your flesh, they stumbled and fell, because a host encampeth all around about you. I will not fear what man can do unto me, because the joy of the Lord is my strength. Get up, my child, because I'm ready for you to live. Better days are coming in your life. He said, I only let you went through. He says, I let you go through the fire. And he says, you ain't burned, you just smell like smoke. Clap your hands and say, you're not burned, you just smell like smoke. And even after all of that, get to verse number 10, y'all. Even at all of that, not only, let me see, can I go back over and I'm done? I may try to do something else with it later, but his fear is replaced by faith. His failure is replaced by victory. His fatigue is replaced by his energy, but his frustration replaced his hope. Because verse 10 says, even after all the Lord told him, he felt like, now listen to this. He said, I have been very jealous for the Lord God of hosts, and for the children of Israel has forsaken thy covenant. This is Elijah talking. He says, for they have torn down the altars and slain your prophets with the sword. Listen to him. I only am left that seek my life to take it away. Did you see all those eyes in that verse? How many times you felt like you've been like Elijah, I'm the only somebody. Ain't nobody else in Israel trying to do right. They done killed your prophets, slain, tore down your altar, and I alone, the Lord says, all right. I'm like that old song we used to sing, if you trust him and never doubt, he'll surely bring you out. Take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there. And now, ladies and gentlemen, look at verse 11. And I'm through, y'all. I'm finished. I don't know, but I'm finished. You can't believe that from a Baptist preacher. But verse 11 says, and he says, go forth and stand upon the mount of the Lord. And the Lord passed by, a great and strong wind rest on the mountain and break into pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, the earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. It's a more part of that verse. It's a more part of that verse. Go down to verse 12. If I'm at verse 12. But after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. After the fire, still small voice. Elijah, ladies and gentlemen, is in a cave. Now let me tell you, this cave is very significant to me because it's the same place where Moses, after all had went on, where Moses asked the Lord to show him his face. Well, you know, the Bible said no man has seen God and lived. So the Lord said, okay, Moses, if you want to see me, get in the cave and I'll let you see my backside, my hinder side. That same cave this man is in. And that's where God always gets you in a cave. He says to him, I'm in the still small voice. And by the way, by the way, Elijah, Since you think you're the only somebody in East Point, I've got 7,000 who have not bowed their knees to Baal, which means I got folks that you don't even know about. You ain't the only somebody that's in your house trying to do right. I've got folks that ain't even bowed. Let's get out of here. I'm finished for the day. You know, it's a lot going on in America. We have a lot of mental situations. I know what it means to feel like you're having on the verge of, maybe you're feeling like you're going to have a nervous breakdown. I didn't have it, but I was feeling that I was going to, just so much, just too much, just too much. Just too much. Now, I'm going to give y'all this one. It says, the angel of the Lord came to Elijah. This was not any kind of angel, because the Bible, it didn't say an angel came to Elijah. It says, the angel of the Lord came to Elijah. Very significant. I'm learning language in the Bible these days. I'm understanding the language. I understand more language in the Bible now. It says the angel of the Lord. It didn't say the angel came, which means it is angels. But this angel is called the angel of the Lord. It has been said that whenever you see the word angel of the Lord, it is depicting that Jesus came. And he hadn't even been born.
Well, I pray that you was blessed from the message, and I pray that it touched your life. Listen, I want to stop here and extend an invitation to discipleship. You do not have a church home or a pastor. I would love to be your pastor. I would love for you to be a part of this exciting place called SCI. We say it's the place where you belong. We're going to tell you how ways you can partner with us, how you can be a part of SCI. Let's listen to the ways of how you can connect with SCI.
If you just made that decision, we are so excited. You just made the best decision of your life. Our E-team wants to help you take the next steps in your Christian walk. Text SAVED or JOIN to 404-548-8009. And a member of our eCampus team will be in contact with you. Welcome to the family.